bitch, you a bird, you thigh, you learn, you see, I earn, you stop. A word, I shoot, no rim, I'm high, you burn, I'm me, that's him, you nah, that's word.
What's up, fight fans? My name is Anik Subramanian. I am a journalist for the Scrap News. Today, I'm here with St. Louis's own Josh Augustine. Now, on June 21st, he's going to take on Alex Morgan at Samourai MMA 10. First of all, Josh, how are you? How's life been?
Life's good, man. Locked in fight camp, and just ready to scrap. Thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate your time.
Oh, happy to have you, man. Now, what type of fight are you expecting with Alex?
I really see three things happening. Either it's gonna go one way, very much so, for one guy or the other. I think it'll be like a devastating finish for one of us, or it'll be a dogfight. It'll be a really nasty, really great fight. That we're both gonna be banged up, beat up, bloodied, and tired.
You're going to be fighting against a guy who has a legendary corner. He's probably going to have Firas Zahabi in his corner, the legend. Is there any added pressure with having him across from you, or is that extra motivation for the fight?
No, man, it's just extra motivation, and it's an honor. Honestly, it's a great privilege that I've gotten to this point in my career where I can be at the level where Frost is cornering against me, And this whole fight, all of it is about looking forward to that challenge and staring that challenge right in the eye and being grateful for it, honestly. And that's obviously not only through Alex. He's a protege of Firas, and that's one of the coolest parts of this fight is being in that backyard of Montreal and having Firas in the corner, kind of coaching against me. But I believe in what we're doing. Out here at Xtreme, we have a very good gym too. We've had multiple world champions, and I have all the attention of all the best coaches in the world. And Roman Isabel, who I'm taking with me, is going to be recognized as one of these great coaches coming out of this generation. So, I'm not worried about any magic wizard dust that he's going to put on him or anything like that. I'm fully confident in what we're doing out here, but it is really cool. Like I said, it's an honor.
Yeah, no, it is definitely, you're going to be fighting against, a legendary corner, but for you as well, like you said, an Xtreme Couture, like you guys might have been the best gym. I think you guys should have won the Gym of the Year last year. And you guys have a team of killers, a team of like some of the best rising, and these people are getting better fast. I'm wondering who is going to be your full corner, because I know you train with a bunch of people there.
Yeah, Roman Isabel.
Yeah.
He was a really great up and coming fighter out of Xtreme Couture. He's rolled more into the coaching role past few years out here at Xtreme. He's helped me out a lot for this camp, and I would be taking Danny D1 and Dennis Davis, but Dennis will be at the PFL in Salt Lake City, and Danny will be in Saudi Arabia at the UFC.
Fair enough. Now, at Xtreme Couture, you've trained with a lot of guys. I know you train a lot with Jose Shorty Torres. You also have trained with Aljo, Manel Cap, Biagio Ali Walsh, everyone calls him the grandson of Muhammad Ali, but he's starting to build his own brand and his own name and also Patchy Mix. So I'm wondering what's training with them like, and who's giving you your toughest rounds in sparring?
Toughest rounds is Mads Burnell for sure. That dude is a savage, man. He is a buzzsaw, and his cardio is unbelievable, and he loves to just fight. I also have gotten some really great rounds with Julian Arosa and Anthony Njokwani in this camp. Anthony is just, his Muay Thai is just on a whole other level. He's so good, and to have him around as a resource. I was just a huge fan of him as a kid, like in high school, watching him and all his old highlight reels, WEC days, and he was one of my favorite fighters to watch. So to be able to work with him and learn from him and pick his brain and be able to get him show me tactics and hands-on work with me, spar and everything. It's really cool, and I can't leave. Julian is 15 fight veteran in the UFC at this point. I mean, you don't get much more of a veteran than that, and he's still in the prime of his career as well, I believe, and is even going to have some of his best fights going forward, I think. So yeah, it's I'm working with the best people in the world, like you said. It doesn't get any better. I'm not going to be starstruck or see any, I'm not going to see anything I haven't seen in this fight. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, you train with the best, you become the best, and you're also learning how to, you know, shine under the spotlight. Now I'm wondering, on a less serious note, besides sparring and all that stuff, Xtreme Couture has some of the biggest, funniest characters in the MMA space right now. Sean Strickland, Chris Curtis. What's the funniest story you have about those guys, if you know them, or what is the funniest Xtreme Couture story you got for me?
I would say whenever I first got here, uh, like first moved out here to Vegas, was the day that they were shooting for the Schmo. They were doing DeSean Strickland on his birthday. All that shit. That was really fucking funny. And going back and watching that stuff is just hilarious. Um, so yeah, probably that. I'm not like super tight with those guys or anything. So they're just other dudes in the gym, and Sean's kind of stepped into that leadership role. But for the most part, they just go in and do their work and do their thing.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit, right? You are the pride of St. Louis. Did you end up going to UFC St. Louis? I know you wanted to be on Dana White's Looking for the Fight. I know there was a lot of talks about that, but did you end up going, and what was your thoughts about the event?
I did not end up going because it just would have costed for the flight and the stay and all that stuff. And I was, I had found out about the Alex Morgan fight, so I was locked into camp at that time. So I watched from a distance. I watched from home, and it was really cool to see, man. Charles Johnson is a good dear friend of mine, and him and I have come up from the beginning together. Like, have literally trained in Mike Rogers' old basement. So like, and he's picked me up for practices whenever my car has been broken down. Like, we live not too far from each other. Like, we've had a lot of shared experiences. I've seen ups and downs in his amateur career, and like, whenever he was like leaving college and starting to focus on MMA, I remember all these things. So, to see him have the type of performance that he had against Jake Hadley was just amazing. Like, it like makes me emotional because it just solidifies all the hard work that him and I both have put in, and I love to see his success. And I think he's going to be champion one day, and especially once he breaks into those 5-round fights, he's going to be really, really, really hard to beat for all those guys. And the way he was just so controlled in that first round, like he almost didn't even throw anything, but he was just so defensively sound and moving and safe, and then started just picking up the pace slowly but surely. Even dropped him. Like, he looks so good, man. That's the Charles that I know. And 8 fights into the UFC, you love to see him having that success. Obviously, I'm not as close with Buckley. I've known who he was for years throughout the St. Louis scene, and he's always been a beast, and he killed it. And that was really cool to see. He had seen all the St. Louis guys get wins. Sean got a great win against Anik Subramanian. I tried to fight him a couple of times back on the regional circuit before he was signed. But he's the reason that I was able to get my first professional title, because he got called up to fight Terrence McKinney. He was supposed to fight for the title in Nemesis Fighting Alliance, a little amateur show, or I'm sorry, regional show back in St. Louis. And I had just did 2 fights with them, so I was 2-0 at the time. And when he got the call, I immediately reached out to the promoter. I'm like, hey, I'll fight his opponent. I'll step in for the title. And that's how that all came to fruition. And then obviously I went and won that fight. So yeah, I got respect for him, and see him have success against Alex Caceres. That's a huge win. Alex is a veteran, and Sean's only had a couple of slip ups in the UFC, but it's hard to do that. It's hard to be perfect in the UFC, and they're all having so much success. And it really showed that on that card. It was really cool to see, man. At the Enterprise Center, it's I went to so many different games, growing up there, so it was really cool. It was really cool to see. Obviously, I'd love to be on a future card out there.
Yeah, man, and that's a great Alex Caceres story. I think Buckley took so much risk, and he won against a killer. That was a great fight. And Charles Johnson's my guy. Like, it's so nice to see him win, and like you said, the best 5-round flyweight in the UFC. So
Yeah,
I do think now he's putting it together, and now because he has to take these 3-round fights, he's getting it going faster. So I think it's great to see. And man, Dana White seemed really happy about the St. Louis card. I heard stuff about like people wanting a pay-per-view there. So ideally, the next time they go there, you're there. I know we're focused on the moment, but yeah, man, I'm rooting for you.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I mean, at this point in my career, it's one fight at a time because
Yeah.
a loss here doesn't set me back dramatically, honestly, because he's the number one guy in Canada, number one guy outside of the UFC right now. So it doesn't set me back dramatically. And I really believe in myself for this fight, and I think that a win here puts me in the UFC. I think that puts me to that next level. It's I've been knocking on the doorstep here for a couple of years, and so is he. And so it's basically a UFC level fight, but we're just doing it on a small promotion in Canada. So yeah, hopefully, I think a good finish for either way will definitely get either of us signed. But whenever it's at this level, it's not that easy. It's not that simple. We're both fighting tooth and nail, and sometimes it doesn't come out how we want it. That's why I'm really interested in the matchup myself, to just see how it actually plays out and feel them, and see what route the fight kind of goes, because there's so many different variables, and I'm really excited just to see how it plays.
I agree, my man. I think the winner deserves a spot in the UFC, so we'll see what happens. Now I'm going to shift over to some fun questions because we want to make this different, right? Have you ever been told you look like Dan Hooker? Because from a distance, your social media
Dan
pictures,
Hooker.
yeah, from a distance.
You know what I hear a
with the
lot?
blonde hair? What do you hear?
Justin Gaethje.
That's a
I
good
hear
one.
Justin Gaethje a lot, bro. Like, not like one or two times. Like, this happens a lot. People are like, you look like Justin Gaethje. I'm like, thank you.
Hey, that's a compliment. And the reason why I thought Dan Hooker was because it was one fight he went blonde. He wore some glasses. From a distance, it looks a little bit like you look a little like Dan. But yeah, no, hey, great fighter. So that's a compliment.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah. No, I've seen you've been on some podcasts. You posted some funny things on your Instagram. Where do you get your humor from? Is it from your family? Is it from your friends?
I would say a mixture of family, friends, and like old school, like just TV and movies, like like very raunchy shit. Just like one of my favorite movies growing up was Major Payne, and like Big Daddy, Happy Gilmore, all that shit is what I really came up on a lot as a kid. So, like some of my favorite movies, and yeah, and then you just pull inspiration from other things throughout life.
Yeah.
But I just try to have fun for the most part. I'm not like trying to be funny or anything like that. Like I just, especially in like the long form conversation, like podcasts, you just kind of get to like be yourself and joke around and shit like that. Especially when you get more comfortable with people, you just, you just start fun.
No, that makes sense. Now, you shared some movies. What about TV shows? Is there any specific? I want to see if I know these.
I just, well, childhood or like current?
Anything.
Okay, well, I just refinished Breaking Bad. I rewatched Breaking Bad. That's obviously a classic. Sopranos is a great one. Entourage is one of my favorites for sure. Ballers is really good, I think. And then childhood, shit, like even Stevens and I don't even know, like all those Disney Channel ones, Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, and
Yeah.
fucking That's So Raven and shit. And like I remember all those Disney, I don't know if you remember this, all those Disney movies like Luck of the Irish, where the kids like turn into a leprechaun, but he's a baller middle school player. And they had that one Jewish basketball movie, and about like the story of Hanukkah, and it's like a all Jewish school that just balls out in basketball. And then they had I forget the mermaid one. They had like Brink.
Mm-hmm.
You remember those?
I remember some of them.
You know Brink?
Not Brink, but
The rollerblading movie.
This is
They're hella intense with the '90s long hair, and they're like beefing about rollerblading. It's awesome, dude. And then they rollerbladed out.
Dude, that's great. That's some great stuff. Now,
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, movies, lookalikes. I'm gonna ask you one more question before we, get a message for your fans. Okay. If you could pick two fighters to back you up in a street fight, who would it be?
Brock Lesnar and John Jones.
That is a great answer.
You know what I mean? I mean, Who else do you want? We'll fuck anyone up, and I won't even do shit.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, Josh, it was great talking to you. Really enjoyed it. I can't wait. You're a stud in the cage and on the mic. So I'm wondering, what do you have to say for your fans, sponsors, coaches, any message you want to end us off with?
Man, I just got to say thank you to everybody. I'm so grateful. I wouldn't be here without all the supporting members in my life. And that goes from everyone over at Xtreme Couture, all my training partners, all my coaches, and then obviously all my sponsors, Total Roofing St. Louis, Seamless A's, Gutters, Latitude Dispensary, Two Car Guys, Elliott Co., Reset St. Louis, Golden Toad, coaches, Dennis Davis, Eric Nixick, Danny D1, Roman Isabel, Julian Arosa, Anthony Njokuani, Arthur Duflo, Biagio Ali Walsh. I mean, the names go on and on and on. Follow all these guys on Instagram if you don't already. You'll definitely see them on my shit somewhere. I just I'm super grateful to be in this position. I think this is a tough fight, and nothing's handed over in this sport, and that's for sure. And I've had to learn that the hard way. But like I said, I'm really looking forward to the challenge, and I'm really looking forward to going out there and just fighting and trying to solidify my spot in the UFC.
Well, Josh, I really appreciate your time. I love talking to you. Best of luck, and we'll be cheering you on at the Scrap News.
Thank you, man. We'll do another one after the W.
Let's do it, man. Have a good one.